Hi everyone, welcome to GameGorgon. My name's Indigo.
And I'm Krug!
And today we're going to be talking about two large events within the RPG world. We're talking about D&D Live, which has already happened, and PaizoCon, which is in the process of going on right now as we're recording. Mm-hmm. But we feel like we have gotten... let me step back. Neither one of us has gone to either of these events. We've never been to D&D Live and have not been to PaizoCon. We're just going to be discussing the outward projection of these two events.
Yes.
And some of the ways that they have succeeded, some of the ways that they have failed, and how they could really learn from each other.
Like, this is a marketing tool for both of these organizations. Yes. And they need to present themselves in a way that is, like, appealing to current and new players, so that they buy their products in order for them to stay companies. Like, as much as we don't like to think about that, like, both of them are companies, and they have to make money. So, if they're not using these tools, which they are putting money into creating, in order to make more money, it's going to be a problem, moving forward. Mm-hmm. At the very least, they're not getting their money's worth. Like, maybe it's not a huge issue, but if they could get more, or if they could make these things more appealing to people, it would help all around.
Mm-hmm. I think a good way to start this is the good, the bad, the ugly. So why don't we talk about good aspects of both events that we saw?
Yeah.
For D&D Live, I would say it looked like a ton of fun.
Yeah.
There's still my timeline is full even a good week after the event with people's cosplays, different photos that people had been taking from the event, and
it was a very shareable event.
Very shareable event.
Like the production quality, I mean, we'll get into some other things about the production quality, but the good things I can say about it is they definitely put the resources into that facet of the event that they should have. They didn't skimp on it. Mm-hmm. They spent lots of money. It seemed like they spent lots of time. It seemed like they tried to hire competent people with tools to make it something unique at the very least. Like, it didn't look when they were playing. Dang it! I got so angry I lost my train of thought.
So I think that D&D Live definitely did that exceptionally well. As for PaizoCon, the things that they did very well is that the type of content that it was sharing was content that I 110% wanted to watch, wanted to listen to, and really actually am trying to figure out ways in which I can either get the text version of what they were doing, or sitting down and watching all 8 hours each day of that content.
I remember what I was going to say about D&D Beyond. When you watched them playing RPG games, it didn't look like any other RPG game you had ever watched. It looked like its own highly produced thing. Now I'm going to go back to what we were actually talking about.
6.5 hours later.
Yeah, we had conversations about the subjects they were covering and how they were covering them, and the advice they were giving people on how to play games well. And it wasn't just advice for Pathfinder or Paizo products.
No.
It was advice for role playing in general. It was super generic but hyper useful. Super useful.
Yeah, just map design, dungeon ecology, there was great information about specific products.
Yeah.
They the quality of questions that were coming in, because 90% of what we were seeing was Q&A moments where people would come up and ask, all of these designers and developers and writers questions, and the quality of questions that were coming in were amazing, and the ones that weren't amazing, I would say that the developers turned those around and made them moments where, me as a GM who has been GMing for 10 years at least, is oh wow, I never thought of that.
And
That's
some of it's stuff that you do. After a while, you just start doing things in the way that they're describing, but you can't put it into words.
Yeah.
And they're just I'm going to succinctly describe all these things that you've just kind of inherently learned to do without really thinking about it.
Yeah.
Over the course of 3 years. This is just stuff that you do, right? And you're yeah, tell me more about what I do so I can do it consciously instead of subconsciously.
Yeah.
Which is astonishing. It just goes to show you the passion and the reality of the situation that all those people play these games, which is who could ask for more than that?
Yeah. Now, That's the good for both.
Yeah,
right.
there's
Which in itself, they're both equally like weighted really heavily on good. Like both of those things are very good.
Yes.
The bad thing I would feel that D&D Live did was they weren't giving fun information like Paizo was giving. When they were doing sit-down interviews or close-up interviews, it was very, very hyper-specific to, we are selling this book.
Yep.
Here is information about this book, only this book, and why this book is cool.
It all felt like a pitch.
Yeah.
And I understand that that's what it's for, but that's not why I'm there.
At least hide what you're trying to teach me. Like, it doesn't all have to be like, this book is cool, and it's metal as hell, and it's awesome, and then like, it's like, cool, that's great, but like, give me.
You can take what Paizo did, which is give generic information and use your product as an example for those pieces of information. Like, for example, when I designed this room and have like a slide up of the thing and then have in the corner it says like, oh, this is from this book, available on this URL for this much money. Like, you can still use it as a marketing tool, and everybody there expects that. But I think a lot of people are a little offended when it is overtly 100% advertisement. And again, we weren't there, we were just watching on Twitch. Maybe it was less like that at the actual event, but that's the vibe we got from the broadcast. It was a plug 100% of the time.
Yeah. I will say the bad for PaizoCon is the fact that it was the most difficult thing to actually sit down and watch, because I am staring at between 3 to 4 people sitting at a table at a weird angle with behind them really shitty hotel wallpaper and then a fridge in the corner.
A fridge in the corner. They basically like put zero effort into the production. Their cameras were good.
Yeah,
I'll give them that.
The quality of the camera was good. The
quality of the stream was good. That's basically the only good thing I can say about it. You said the wallpaper and the fridge in the corner were weird. There's a projector on at certain points during people's talks, and they didn't make any effort to not have it in frame. So there's just this corner of the screen that was just blown out white.
Yeah.
Because they had like some images that they didn't make the background black for. It was just like this white JPEG.
Yeah, it was
like,
showing a character.
Yeah.
Or it was showing like a specific art asset. And so the best way to show off one art asset is to have it on a white background.
Yeah.
It makes sense why they were doing the projection aspect.
I'm not knocking them for that. I'm knocking them for not considering the broadcast during that decision. Mm-hmm. If you're going to do that, at least cut the projection surface out of frame with the cameras, or have it be a black background so that your projector isn't blasting full white into the camera lens.
Yeah, the other big issue is that the camera was closest to one person, so when they would have 4 people, the fourth person would be completely out of focus.
Yep.
And you would just see this like gradual like increase. It's like you could have
different
easily
lens choice.
Just put the camera straight on.
Exactly.
That's the number one thing. Is put the I'm sure that they were like, oh well, the way that the room's built, we need to put the camera over here so it's out of the way. I get that, but like screw it. This is your event. Like there's theoretically going to be more people that are going to be able to watch the live stream and or it being on YouTube after the fact.
Yep.
Then there
for
are
all
people.
Eternity.
Yeah. Then the people that are physically able to show up.
And you have to assume that people like us are going to grab clips from it and show you.
I don't know who you just did work for, but so I would say both of those made both of those events hard to watch because it's like I really wanted to learn the things that Paizo was talking about, not just because of D&D Second Edition. There's some really interesting stuff about Starfinder. There was like the dungeon ecology. We literally had a conversation with 4 people on Discord last night about how cool these ideas were and like how we need to think about this and like, oh yeah, it doesn't make sense to have a dragon inside of a dungeon when the door is only 5 feet wide. Like,
there has to be a way for the dragon to get into the room. So when we were playing Tomb of Annihilation, there's like a dragon in a location, and you think to yourself, well, how did the dragon get in there? The room is barely bigger than the dragon itself. And then you like look at the map, and there's literally a giant hole that goes from where you are all the way up to the surface, and you're like, the dragon probably flew down that giant hole because it can fly, and that hole is giant. Like, easy. But it like, if you have a dragon in a cave, it has to be a huge cave. Mm-hmm. You can't just have it be like, oh yeah, the dragon was born here and never left. Like,
Yeah, but the problem is that
you can't watch it.
I can't watch it. I can't sit there for 8 hours watching this.
It's nothingness.
And then in between, when they were changing sessions of it, there was just a random dude, no idea who this dude was, in a dark, like dimly lit corner with a Yeti mic, who's just like, next is going to be this group. And I'm like, who are you?
Did he sound like Tom Kench?
Hello and welcome back to PaizoCon 2019 here at the Doubletree Inn by Hilton.
He had like a deeper like voice, and like there was a point in which there was 2 people, and like one person's literally holding the program open, and the other person is reading what is coming up next in the room.
Yeah, no.
And it was just like, ugh. Mm-mm. Now, the ugly.
Okay, I wanna start.
Okay.
I at the beginning, we said that Wizards of the Coast did invest enough into production.
Yes.
The things that they got from that investment were terrible.
Yes.
They overproduced the ever-loving shit out of that event to a degree that is, like, unfathomable to me as an individual. I can't imagine somebody seeing that and being like, yeah, that's what I paid for. Like, even, like, from the huge things, like the camera crane during Marisha Ray's game, which was just like, this is a GM, oh, these are the players, and the entire chat is like, hey, can you fucking put the camera down? Like, stop that.
Personally, I was getting seasick.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we're moving to...
Like, I don't get motion sick like that, but I super don't blame you.
This is the first time I've ever gotten motion sick from something like this.
Yeah.
Like, I was legitimately sitting down trying to watch this, and I was getting queasy, and like, people in the chat were like, yo, like, stop this. Like, and it was like...
He works in production.
Yes.
He's seen the cranes do the thing a lot.
The difference between a proper crane use and what we saw is that crane usage should be minimalistic, and when there is movement when the camera is on, it is slow.
Yes.
And controlled.
And not only that, but you need to be able to justify the reason you're moving anything.
Yeah.
If anything changes that isn't a performer, that isn't directly driven by, like, a performer picks up an object and sets it down, they can do that as much as they want. They're the performer. If you as the, like, production crew change anything at any time, there has to be a reason for it. And there was not a single reason for any of that stuff happening. Like, in front of the table that they were playing on, I'm talking about Marisha Ray's campaign one more time, there was, like, an LED, like,
that was all of the main stage.
Well, that's bananas!
That was not just one stream. That was every single main stage stream had both the crane issue. I'm gonna go back to the camera just one more bit.
Sure.
There were parts in which the crane was literally looking down performers' shirts.
Yes.
And it was just like, well, this is inappropriate.
And I thought at one point, with the first time, because he and I were watching it together for a brief period, I thought it was, they're trying to show off D&D Beyond because there was a tablet, and then they did it to someone else, and I was like, nah, they're looking down people's shirts.
Yeah, and it's like
weird.
So there was that. They also had 2 which were static cameras.
Yep.
And by static cameras, I mean they weren't like they were panning and tilting, but they weren't like physically moving like the
they didn't fly.
Yeah, but the problem is that they would switch to them when they were focused on players that weren't talking.
Yes.
And it was like, why are you doing this? Why is it like, it felt like whoever was behind the action of switching was blind switching, did not have a monitor that was able to see what every single camera is doing and choosing, okay, go to camera 1 because that player is talking, they are performing. Go to a wide shot because everyone is involved. Go to the GM shot because of this. And then, like, I understand having small movements, having swoops come in and like as players are doing action. That could be really fun, and I really like the idea.
It could be very dramatic.
But the problem was that that's not what they were doing.
No.
They were swooping in like a hawk for a rabbit. Like it was the worst. It was the worst possible thing, and it was just weird, awkward shots. And there's some very key things to when it comes to film and when it comes to like work within a parameter of a screen.
And all of this while you're trying to listen to people tell a story.
Yeah.
But you have to remember that that's the thing that we're here for. We're here to listen to the GM tell a story. We're here to listen to the players tell a story. Everything else is secondary, but it did not feel that way. It felt like the production was the primary purpose of the entire event, and the story was secondary. And I swear to God, if you got Marisha Ray off to the side and said, hey, which one of these two things takes priority, I guarantee you she'd say it's the story.
Honestly, if Wizards of the Coast would say differently, I would be thoroughly surprised.
Yeah.
I
don't know who, like, where the breakdown of communication was, but I've never met a single, like, well-known RPG person that's like, oh yeah, you need f***ing pyrotechnics to make RPGs fun. You don't.
No. While we're harking on the camera action, there were audio issues throughout the entire thing. There were multiple times where the feed actually died completely, which means that there are power issues or
internet issues.
So there were
computer issues. Any number of things could be the problem.
Exactly.
But it was like the tech side of it feels like every single department, lighting, audio, like broadcast, was run by an intern.
Yeah.
Somebody that had the knowledge to implement all of the things, but didn't have the experience to stop implementing when they needed to stop implementing.
I forgot to mention this, but you mentioned lighting. Right after we did the interview with Sam, like all of the lighting went down and like completely out. Like there was just like a red background.
Yeah, it was like the situation they were in was in no way more dramatic, or it wasn't moving towards something at a pace that justified all of the front light just going off, and then the back is just like red, and you're like, did a demon just spawn? Like, I don't understand what's... No, you're still having a conversation? No.
Oh, the lights are back up now.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool.
Like, someone was, like, not paying attention, they, like, hit a fader, and like,
back.
Yeah, it was...
I mean, and I've done that before in college.
Yeah.
Paizo. Opposite problem.
Paizo, I'm gonna go back to their presentation for their ugliness.
Yeah.
Their social media is posting some images from the actual like floor, which is basically tables upon tables of people playing their games at these tables, right? So the card game, the beginner box, Pathfinder 2nd edition, all of them are full of that.
Yep.
And then they have like a couple booths selling some stuff. I swear I've seen the same photo of this one dice booth like 5 times, and I'm like, is this the only booth?
Yeah.
And then I saw another booth that had some artwork where it was like, cool, they're in this ugly convention hall.
Yep.
They have taken some, like, it looked like our dog, like
a fence thing.
Yeah, a dog fence, and then put a maroon
tablecloth,
and then just
like clipped it on the thing. It's the exact opposite problem. Like they're portraying themselves as like sloppy. They're portraying themselves as like cheap. They're portraying themselves as just like something that you can ignore. And that's not true.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's true for a second. I think Paizo's a great company. I think the adventure paths they release are just second to none as far as I've seen so far. Perfectly, like, story is awesome. Like, they're organized and, like, great to read through, at least relative to the other stuff that I've seen. That's not the image they're putting out there.
No.
And it sounds like we're being so, like, superficial. And we are kind of.
No.
But, like, at the same time, like, you're building your brand and you're building, like, your image in the audience of the general public with this event. Why not put some f***ing effort into it?
Well, and not...
Like, interns could have done better. That's, like, the opposite thing that I'm talking about. Like, it feels like interns did Wizards of the Coast. It feels like those same interns could have done Paizo better. Mm-hmm. Even with the stuff they had with them, you know?
Yeah, and it's horrible because it's like, I feel that one of the biggest issues I have with Paizo is that they are very happy with what clients they already have.
Yep.
And they're not making any sort of outreach for new people. And I feel that Wizards of the Coast / D&D is very good at, like, let's bring in new people, let's find more people, let's bring new people in, let's do this. And then you turn around and you're just like, Paizo, you have literally 2nd edition Pathfinder has the best action economy that I have ever seen in a tabletop RPG.
And the way that classes are built it's literally the most versatile. Like, you cannot get that kind of versatility with anything that isn't just an open-ended, like, fake core system where you can just do what you want.
Yeah.
It's literally, here's all the things, you can go down whatever tree you want. You can go as far down that tree as you want. You can stop whenever you want and go down a different tree in the class, and it's just cool. Like, you just have to start from the beginning of the progression path again if you want to, like, take something that has a prerequisite. You have to grab the prerequisite. But you can do it. You can do whatever you want. It's awesome. Like, if more role players played Pathfinder, the role-playing world would be great.
Yeah.
Like, way better.
But it's not going to happen if Paizo doesn't up their game and gets out of the early 90s.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and starts to really update not only their website, but the way that they communicate with people, how they work with influencers, how that when they have these events, it's not like I literally went to their site to figure out what events were on it for this specific topic, and it was literally just a text block wall, and I was like, not interested in reading this. And it was like, we've got special guests, and it was like, here's this one author, and you're like, cool. And they're like, live streams from Glass Cannon, and you're like, cool. Who else? And that no one. And it was just like, why aren't you bringing this in? Like, I understand that they're up in Seattle, but honestly, they need to move it down to LA. Like this event specifically, because it's going to be cheaper for them to move their entire company down here for a weekend and let a local production company build up an entire thing, an actual convention hall or an actual nice hotel, and you're going to get talent upon talent upon talent that's willing to be like, cool, there's another event that I can show off my cosplay, there's another event I can show off my live stream, there's another event. Like, D&D is not an LA-based company, yet they're holding their event here. Like, both of these companies can have a legitimate con that could rival San Diego Comic-Con if they wanted to put that effort in there.
And those people, and this is the bottom line, would become customers in one way or another. Like, they would either be players that maybe they didn't invest in any books, maybe they didn't buy any books, but that group would play, and that group would need dice, and that group would need like GM screens, and that group would need adventure books, and that group would need XYZ. They'd build more long-lasting groups with any number of more players, and this is a great opportunity to get them, and they're not taking full advantage of it. I'd say they're not even taking like a third of the full advantage of it. I want to say this though. This isn't like, I'm not trying to bash them. I'm not trying to like
but we're trying to be honest with both of them. I feel that that's a key thing, is because like a lot of people, specifically last week we came out with the newest D&D class is trash, right?
Yes.
We're not trying to be that we trash on people like plays. No. What we're trying to be is we are trying to be the people that are like, you could do better. You could be better. Let's make this better.
Yes.
Like,
it is about honesty, not sensationalism.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that I understand that we're not building friends with either Paizo or Wizards of the Coast by making these.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I do want both of them to succeed, and I want to give them what I feel is important.
Yes.
So that they can.
If we can't be friends while at the same time giving each other criticism, then we probably can't be friends.
Yeah. Head down to the comments and let us know if you think that our portrayal of these events were off, or if you think they were accurate. And honestly, if you went to one of these events, yes, I would love to hear from you.
More than anything else, please leave a comment if you went.
Yeah, I want to know what your experience there was, and like, I know a lot of people that went to D&D Live. I would also really love to hear from people that went to PaizoCon, because I want to know the difference between what they're portraying versus what's actually there. Maybe it was some epic, awesome event.
Yeah.
It just, they weren't the best at portraying the epic and cool
If
events.
you went to both, email me. Like, straight up, please.
I want to talk to you. But even if you didn't go to those events, let us know what you think about the events, if either of them make you want to go to them. And then head over to the subscribe button, or like button. Hit the like button.
Yeah.
Then hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And then hit the bell icon so you can get notifications for all of our future content.
The order.
All right, and you can go and talk to me on Twitter at IndigoQT.
And you can talk to me on Twitter at QueueTimes, or you can talk to both of us at all these social media things down here. We've been GameGorgon. We'll see you guys next time. Or maybe we won't, because a representative from Paizo and a representative from Wizards of the Coast are knocking on our door right now.